On our anniversary, my car's GPS called my husband my darling, in another woman's voice. That was the moment I realized he hadn't just cheated. He'd already given everything that was mine to her. On our wedding anniversary, I drove out to pick up the cake. I settled into the driver's seat and spoke to the GPS the way I always did. Hey Siri, navigate to the bakery. What came out of the speakers was not Siri. Of course, my darling Asher Sanchez. Your Winnie's personal navigation is at your service. Drive safe for me, okay? If you don't behave, I'll have to punish you. Every muscle in my body locked. The only sound left was my own heartbeat hammering against my ribs. When had the GPS voice pack been changed? And why was it customized for Asher? I dialed my husband, keeping my voice perfectly casual. Have you connected to the car's Bluetooth lately? A beat of silence on the other end. Then his tone slid into something easy and natural. Probably a client who paired their phone by accident when I gave them a ride. Why? What's up? I laughed, made small talk, and hung up. Then I opened the dashcam footage, scrolled until I found a blurry profile shot, and sent it to Mia Fox. Find out who she is. 10 minutes. Then I floored it toward Sanchez Tower. I was pulling into the parking garage when Mia's reply came through. Several photos of the woman, plus screenshots of her social media posts. Your blind idiot husband hired this little secretary. One look at her and you can tell exactly what she is. You've been way too generous with him. He takes advantage of the fact that you never go to the office, and now he's keeping a mistress right under your nose? Say the word and I'm there. We'll take them both apart. I texted her back right away. Relax. I'll handle it. I stepped out of the car and walked into the building, scrolling through the photos as I went. Asher's last secretary had been a man. I had no idea when he'd been replaced by a fresh-faced young thing. She was striking in the photos, no question. Exactly his type. The receptionist spotted me and started to ask if I had an appointment, but a senior employee who happened to be passing by stopped her. Ms. Pruitt is the closest person to Mr. Sanchez. She doesn't need an appointment. She turned to me with a small smile. I could read the awkwardness behind it, and the sympathy she was trying to hide. I gave her a nod of thanks. Then I stepped into the elevator and went straight to the top floor. The doors opened, and there she was, walking out of his office in a floral sundress. Young, beautiful, long hair falling past her waist, round doe eyes, impossibly cute. In the split second before the office door swung shut behind her, I saw it, my personal throw blanket draped over the couch, and the matching couple's mug Asher and I had bought together, sitting on her side of the desk. She froze mid-step when she saw me. The corners of her mouth went stiff for just a fraction of a second before she recovered and beamed at me, all sweetness. Hello! Do you have an appointment? I looked her straight in the eyes. My voice was unhurried, level, the kind of calm that comes from knowing exactly where you stand. Winifred Taylor. I'm Aileen Pruitt, Asher's wife. Do I need an appointment? Winifred's mouth fell open in a performance of shock. Really? You're his wife? I had no idea Mr. Sanchez was even married. Asher and I had been married for 3 years, but I could count on one hand the number of times I'd set foot in Sanchez Group. I'd done it on purpose. I wanted to give him room, to make sure no one could say he'd built his success on the Pruitt name. Outside of close friends and a handful of longtime employees, almost no one knew, but he'd always worn his ring. He'd never once hesitated to tell people he was married. He said it was to make me feel secure, so the wide-eyed girl standing in front of me was anything but innocent. I let out a short, dry laugh and held her gaze. The Winnie's personal navigation voice. That's you. A flicker of panic crossed her eyes, gone almost instantly, replaced by a gentle, apologetic smile. Oh, you mean the GPS in Mr. Sanchez's car? It was raining the other day and I couldn't get a ride, so he gave me a lift. He asked me to type in the destination, and I must have accidentally connected my Bluetooth. That's all it was. Mrs. Sanchez, did you come all this way because of a misunderstanding? If you say things like this in front of the whole company, my reputation. Her voice trailed off, her expression settling into something wounded and delicate. Every employee on the floor was staring at me now. To anyone who didn't know better, I probably looked like another jealous housewife making a scene. I smiled and stepped closer to her. When Asher brought you in, did he forget to mention that I'm the one who has the final say in this company? Winifred stood rooted to the spot, still processing. I was already on the phone with the cleaning service. Sanchez Group, executive office. Clear out everything inside. Asher knew better than anyone that I couldn't stand anything unclean. The moment something was soiled, I threw it away. Then I turned and walked out. I'd barely gotten back in the car when his call came through. The name on the screen read, my husband who loves me most. The irony sat like acid on my tongue. The moment I picked up, his voice came through, cool and smooth, not a single note out of place. Babe, what made you send a cleaning crew to the office? Did the janitors not do a good enough job? Was something bothering you? His little secretary sure didn't waste any time running to him. I swallowed the bitterness rising in my throat and kept my voice perfectly even. I just felt like the things I'd left there had gotten old. Dirty. It was time to throw them out. Asher swallowed audibly. His laugh came out stiff. Whatever my wife wants, my wife gets. I'm heading home soon. Love you. Something deep in my chest clenched so tight I couldn't breathe. Men really were born actors. Love was just another thing they knew how to split between too many people. Back home, I opened the social media account Mia had sent me. Winifred Taylor's account. It was filled with snapshots of her daily life. 2 months ago, she'd posted, my amazing boss brought me my favorite boba tea, so warm and thoughtful. In the photo, she was holding up her half-finished boba tea to Asher's lips, and he was smiling, leaning in to drink from the straw. Asher hated anything sweet. He'd never once gone with me for dessert. Yet here he was, sipping Winifred's boba tea like it was the most natural thing in the world. It wasn't that he didn't have it in him. He just didn't have it in him for me. I laughed bitterly and kept scrolling. 1 month ago, she'd posted, he made me a homemade meal with his own hands. The best man in the whole world. Elegant sushi rolls, neatly sliced fruit, imported Wagyu beef, all arranged with care. My fingertips went cold. Those were the homemade meals I'd prepared for Asher. He always had stomach problems, and I worried about his health, so I taught myself to cook. Every single day I came up with something new for him. I never imagined it all ended up in someone else's stomach. Further down, Winifred was flashing a peace sign at the camera, her smile radiant. Messed up a project today and I was so scared, but he took me here to cheer me up. Said I'll always be the best. I recognized the place in the photo instantly. The Summit restaurant. That was where Asher and I had fallen in love. Years ago, I'd run away after a fight with my family and secretly taken a waitressing job there. A drunk customer started groping me. Asher had charged in and knocked the man to the ground. When the guy grabbed a bottle and swung it down at me, Asher pulled me into his arms and took the blow full on. Blood everywhere. Back then he had no money, no connections, nothing but reckless courage and the instinct to shield me with everything he had. Now he was bringing another woman to that same place, right through the front door. It felt like a knife dragging open my chest. I couldn't breathe. I kept scrolling until I reached her last post, from just yesterday. Can't wait for the bidding conference the day after tomorrow. The Southgate project is his debut gift to me. Every drop of warmth drained from my body. My breath stopped. The Southgate project was a cornerstone venture my father had poured his heart into before he passed. It was supposed to be his gift to me for my 28th birthday, and Asher was going to hand it over to his little secretary. The front door clicked open. Asher was home. He walked straight to me, wrapped both arms around me, and rested his chin on the top of my head. His voice was soft and tender. Hey, babe, I missed you. He still smelled like Winifred's cloying gardenia perfume. I stood rigid in his arms, swallowing the nausea. He didn't notice a thing. He took my hand and swung it lightly. There's an executive gathering at the office tonight. Come meet everyone. You should start dropping by the company more often. Keep me company. I looked at the flawless tenderness in his eyes and felt nothing but the absurdity of it. Before I could refuse, he'd already pulled me out the door. The banquet hall glittered with light. The moment Asher walked in holding my hand, every eye in the room turned to us. A second later, Winifred appeared in a white cocktail dress, eyes rimmed red, walking quickly toward me. In front of everyone, she dipped into a small bow. Mrs. Sanchez, I'm so sorry. Last time I was thoughtless and rode in Mr. Sanchez's car. It won't happen again. Please don't be angry with me. She made herself as small as possible. The picture of a girl who'd been wronged yet was graciously taking the blame. Sympathetic glances from the crowd landed on her immediately, but my gaze drifted downward, and the blood in my veins turned to ice. Around her neck hung a necklace.